everyone, welcome back to another video. So this video, you've obviously already guessed it from the title of it. It's the answering the questions from the Q&A that I sent out across all my social media. So if you guys are new to the channel, not long ago I posted all across my social medias on Snapchat, YouTube and Instagram about doing a Q&A video answering all questions on everything to do with my prep series. As we've wrapped up the prep series, I thought I'd do a video with a review where you guys can ask any questions regarding my prep, regarding me and my prep. So this can be personal questions and they can also be general questions. So I had a great response of loads of questions from everyone across my whole social media accounts. So first of all, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who sent in their questions. But I'm pretty much just going to dive straight into this video and get answering these questions for you. I'm going to answer them in the best detail as I can, and you know, we're just going to go from there. So like I said, I pretty much had questions sent in on my Snapchat, Instagram and YouTube. So first of all, I'm just going to select a few from my Snapchat, and then I'm going to select a few from Instagram, and then we're going to head over to my YouTube and answer a few questions from there as well. So the Snapchat questions, the first one is from Big Sis. And the question is, where do you see yourself in the next 6 months? Now, most of you guys know from the next 6 months, I'm pretty much just focusing on my off season. I won't be competing again until 2018. Me and my coach did consider about doing another show 2 weeks after the Kent Classic, but my heart and mind was set on just that one show. So we decided in the end, you know, we're just going to leave it there and we're going to just really focus on the off season, you know, bringing up body parts where we need to, you know, and just add on the size ready for next year so we can come in bigger, stronger and more conditioned. But overall, the next 6 months, apart from the bodybuilding side, the main focus that I'm going to be focusing on is my family and, you know, just enjoying a bit more lifestyle, because the last 6 years, which I explained in the last video, it's been leading up to, you know, this prep. You know, I've been putting a lot of work in. I've been so tunnel vision and so focused on, you know, working on my frame, my bodybuilding, my career, my work, my business, everything. And in that 6 years, I missed out on a lot of family events, including my own family events. Like, I missed out on my 21st birthday because I was so tunnel vision with my work and things like that. So these next 6 months, I really want to focus on catching up with some good quality family time, you know, catching some memories. We've got Christmas coming up, you know, the great holidays. So I just want to make sure I have some really good quality time with them. But on my bodybuilding and business side, I really want to make sure I've, you know, build up my business with my online coaching and the clothing range. And the off season, I want to make sure that, you know, I make the improvements where I need to, but the one mistake that I don't want to be doing this off season that I've done last off season is rushing anything. I just want to make sure I take a steady pace with this off season, growing where I need to, adding the lean tissue in the areas that my body needs to, and doing it correctly and doing it slowly so I don't add on too much fat, and I can still keep fairly good condition for when it comes to next year and when I have to start pre-contest prep again. So overall, the next 6 months, I just want to make sure I find that balance of, you know, catching up with my family and focusing on my off season in the correct way and doing it in a slow process. So another question from a Snapchat is from Bill, and it was, who is your main inspiration? Now, I have two answers to this question. If it's a bodybuilder related to who's my biggest inspiration, I would have to say Jay Cutler is my biggest inspiration. He's somebody I've always looked up to. I love his mindset, and I've always felt that my physique has some similarity to his physique. Obviously, he's 10 times more massive than me, and his genetics are by far on a completely different level. But I mean, just some of his body frame, his body type and things like that, I feel like we have that similarity where we have kind of a thick waist, we're kind of short, and we have round, dense, like thick muscle. So he's one of my biggest inspirations. But overall, somebody that's more on my level, that's somebody I know personally, that I relate to and inspire to the most, by far would have to be my old man. My old man is the guy who led me into bodybuilding. He taught me everything I knew about bodybuilding, and it's not just about bodybuilding. He inspired me during my, you know, my whole childhood, leading up to, you know, now in my teens and in my adulthood. He raised me up. He taught me how to be a man. He taught me how to, you know, do the basics tasks of shaving, how to ride a bike, you know, all the way through my childhood and all the way through my life of growing up. He was my biggest inspiration because I just done everything with him, and I always looked up to him as like a hero and an idol, and I just always wanted to copy everything that he did. So he was my biggest inspiration in person. If it comes down to bodybuilders, I'd have to say Jay Cutler. I've got one question here from Delugolu. I do apologise if I pronounce your name wrong. I'll put it on the screen, but yeah, it's DeliogloU, whatever that's meant to pronounce. But again, like I said, I do apologise. So the question is, I would like to briefly explain the strategy of this contest prep as far as what macros, calories you started, how you manipulated them deeper into prep in order to keep lean, what amount, intensity, time, type of cardio you started, and how you progressed through, and what about weight training? Thanks. Now, to be honest, that's quite a very subjective question, and it's almost, you want to know everything that I've done during my prep. So I'm not going to answer all these questions because this video will go on forever. And not just that, I'm not giving you a breakdown step by step of what I did during my prep, because that's just not what it's about, because some people will just copy that and try them for themselves. And everybody knows we're all individuals, and what will work for me will not always work for you. So I'm going to answer a few of these questions. The macros that I started off in the beginning of prep was around about 3,000 calories. And towards the end of the prep, we were somewhere around about 1,700 to 1,800. So there was a bit of a dip in the calories, but nothing too dramatic. Another question is, what was the intensity, time, and type of cardio? Now, my coach wasn't heavily on cardio. He wasn't a big believer of just doing constant cardio to lose fat. So our cardio was quite easy, if you want to say. But we started off with just doing 30 minutes. I think it was 3 times a week. Then we moved this up to 4 times a week. And eventually we moved this all the way up to 6 times a week of cardio at 30 minutes. And then we moved it up to 35 minutes. And that's pretty much all we done throughout the whole prep. Towards the end, we chucked in 2 HIIT sessions where we done 10 minutes. But that was probably like in the last 4 weeks, I would have said, of the prep where we chucked that in. So it was just an added 20 minutes where I divided it up into 2 sessions of 2 10 minutes of HIIT cardio. But other than that, we were just doing around 6 sessions a week of 35 minutes. And it was steady state cardio. It was whatever I felt like. If I felt like doing a little bit of HIIT, where I'll just maybe do a minute on really fast-paced walking, then I'll do like 5 minutes of just a normal list state, and then back to another minute of HIIT, and then something like that. But I pretty much just went by how I feel, and most of it was just steady-state cardio on the Stairmaster all through prep, and that's all we done. The main focus was just expending energy through, you know, our daily activities, through our training workouts, and, you know, just from the calorie deficit. We didn't really focus too much on the cardio, because if we focus too much on cardio, then we'll have problems and issues of losing muscle tissue and muscle mass, and we just didn't want to lose that. We was actually happily surprised how much muscle tissue we kept and even grew during this prep series. We do believe that we actually did grow some tissue during this prep. So overall, we kept cardio low to keep muscle tissue there, so we didn't eat away at it, and also we actually grew in this prep as well because we done not aggressive amounts of cardio. Alright guys, so to finish off this video, I'm just going to answer a few questions from the YouTube comments, and then that's pretty much just going to do us for this video. Alright, so the first question comes from Connor McCann, and his question is, if you could change anything about your physique or your show day, what would it be? Now, my physique, if I could change anything about my physique, it would probably be, one, it would be my upper chest. I felt like my front anterior delts overshadowed my chest when I've done like my most muscular, but I've always had this issue during my off season where my chest has been one of my most lagging body parts. So that's going to be one of my focus on this off season, is really bringing up my chest, and mainly the upper chest, but it obviously comes down to genetics. And if there's anything I could change about the show date, now obviously the one thing I would change would be my mindset after the massive problem that we had backstage with my name not being on the sheet. That completely put me in a down mindset. My stress levels are really high. if I could change anything, I'll change that. Obviously that would have put me in a much better position. I would have been more focused, I would have had a lot more time to pump up and be in a better mindset when I actually stepped out on stage. So those are the two things that I would change. Question comes from Michelle Blackman, and it is, what was the hardest part about your prep to keep focus on? I would have to say the hardest part of my prep was the 2-week depletion pit. It was really a struggle to go those 2 weeks with literally no carbohydrates. You know, at the end of it, I actually did think to myself, how the hell did I get through that 2 weeks of completely no carbs and still able to push as hard as I did in my training sessions? And not even just that, to wake up at 5 every morning to go up and do my cardio as well. It was kind of like, wow, I don't know, I didn't even expect, you know, my body to be able to do this. But I'd have to say that was probably the most hardest part about the whole prep to really keep focus on, because I just felt like it kept dragging. Every day that went by, I just felt like it was another day added on. So when I felt like I only had 12 days left, it felt like I had 15 days left. And then when I had 5 days left, it felt like I had 16 days left. And it was just like, it kept dragging and dragging and dragging as we get closer and closer to the finish point of it. But yeah, that would have been the hardest part to really focus on. But as you guys know, I stuck to it. I kept my mind focused and got the job done. All right, so the next question is from Melvin Nicholas. What's the best thing you have learned about yourself through this prep? I would have to say, that's a really good question as well. I'd have to say the best thing I've learned about myself through this prep is actually how determined I actually am, and how strong my mindset can be when I am determined on, you know, on a task. Now everyone always sits there and says, you know, they're 100% determined, they're 100%, you know, committed to doing something. But when you actually go through that process and then you come out the other end and you've completed it, that's when you actually sit back and realise actually how badly determined and strong your mindset is. So when I got to the end of our prep, you know, when it was the last week and we was carbing up and I was just feeling like, right, this is the final stage now, we're so close. I just like, everything kind of was surreal, and it was like, I was really surprised and shocked that I made it this far. Even though I've always convinced and told myself that I'm very determined and very strong, I still was kind of like a bit shocked to think I actually have done it, and my mindset was stronger than I actually expected. You know, going through that depletion part, the last few weeks, you know, was really dragging. At the beginning, there was phases where I just felt like, is this even worth it? Am I even in good enough condition to even do this? Do I even deserve to step on stage? Am I ready? You know. So I do have my doubts, you know, don't get me wrong, we all do. But overall, I'd have to say the best thing I've learned about myself during this prep is actually how strong you can be and how strong your mindset can be if you actually, you know, set yourself a task and complete it. You have to get to that end stage when you're so close to completing it, and that's when you actually sit back and realise how strong your mindset really is. Alright, so the next question I got here comes from Angel Fallen. And she's put, most important question, how did you overcome the low days, the days you craved foods, wanted to just rest and not train? How did you fight through it and stick to your goals? Now again, like I said, as I was getting deeper and deeper into the prep, like I said in the last question, I realised how strong I was with my mindset and how determined I was, my work ethic, how crazy my work ethic was. So as each day passed, it motivated me more and it made me feel stronger inside. And as you get closer to something, you're just less wanting to have, you know, to give in to those cravings, because you're getting closer and closer to the show. You're so close to the finishing line, and you just think to yourself, why give up now for that little bit of, you know, food that you're craving? You know, it doesn't make sense. You know, you put so much effort in, you put so much work in. You know, all those hours you spent waking up like stupid o'clock in the morning, doing your cardio, cooking all your meals, getting each training session done, the posing routines, you know, all those like hours after hours of doing that. And then just to waste it for just a bit of food that you've been craving for a little bit, and you're going to eat it and it's going to be gone in like 2 minutes. That's what kept me focused. That's what kept me on track. Thinking about the bigger picture, all the hours I spent doing this, all the money I spent doing this, all the, you know, the time and, you know, the effort that I've missed out on doing other things by just putting all my work and focus onto this. That's what kept me determined and kept me from coming off the bandwagon and craving other foods. And also, I'm not one that craves a lot of sugary foods, you know. If I do crave anything, it's more savoury stuff like a burger or a pizza. But a lot of the food that I was eating during this prep kept me full, so I wasn't ever having hunger issues majorly. It was more the mental battle than it was the actual physical battle. But overall, it was just about each day as I got closer to show day, I grew stronger in my motivation and my work ethic to, you know, want to keep pushing. Alright, so another question here is from Jonathan Freelove. Did the competition prep bring any negative foods when calories were low? Now, no, I wouldn't say it brought any negative foods when my calories were low. You know, I just felt overall, like I said, foods weren't that low apart from the depletion part. And even during the depletion part, the foods were still keeping me full because I was always having a smart approach when it comes to all my meals. And I was using foods that my body responds really well to. They digest nicely, and foods that actually kept me full for longer periods of the time. So I was always smart with my food approaches. So even on the very low calorie days, I was using foods that I knew would keep me fuller for longer. So I wasn't feeling starving, hungry. I wasn't feeling drained. I wasn't feeling like I haven't eaten anything for weeks. So I feel like when it comes to these preps or diets, you have to use foods that you know that works well with your body. Foods that you know that you can eat and it's going to keep you full. It's not going to, you know, you're going to eat it and after like 5 minutes you're going to just feel hungry like in an instant. You know, use foods that work well with your body. And if they work well with your body, you'll notice that you'll stay fuller for longer and it's a lot easier process to go through. Alright, so I'm going to answer this next question because I did say that I would answer any questions that people sent in. And this question is from Rob Bass. And Rob Bass' question is, what drugs were you using during your prep? Now, I'm not going to tell you word for word of the dosages and everything that I was using during this prep, but I'm just going to list the cycles and the stuff that I was using during my prep. Now, the reason why I'm not going to list what dosages I was using it and when I was using it and which phases and all that is because there's people out here that are very young, and there's some people out here as well that watch the channels and they note down what people say and they just use it without even doing their research or even taking in consideration that this cycle may not work for you. So I don't want to promote the steroid side of bodybuilding, and I don't want to give that impression that I'm just giving out information for other people to use. So I'm not going to actually tell you guys the dosages that I was using it and what phases that I was using it. I'm literally just going to tell you guys what I did use during my prep. So the stuff that I used during my prep was your standard test. I had Tren, we had Debo at the beginning, we had Clen, we used T3, Letrozole, Arimidex, and I think that was pretty much it that I used during this prep. That was pretty much, yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that I used during the prep. It was nothing crazy. We didn't go hard with the cycle. We kept it very moderate. We kept all the dosages very moderate, and you know, we kept it simple as well. You know, we didn't want to go too heavy with the drug side of things. This was my first competition, so like I said, we kept everything nice and moderate, and it worked best for me. We used the stuff that I've used in my off season. We've used stuff that I used, you know, all through my whole bodybuilding career, and that's the way to go. You know, same with the foods. You use the stuff that your body's used before, and that your body responds well with, and you know, keep it simple. That's what it's all about. So that answers that question. Alright guys, so I'm just going to wrap up this video with this last question. There's still tons of questions on here, so if I didn't answer your question, I do apologise. With this last question from Kevin Clements, and his question is, how much of a break from competing will you take, or will you get another show in this year, or take a year off from competing and then compete again in 2019. So pretty much he's saying, am I going to compete again this year, next year, or take a whole solid year and compete in 2019? So as I've answered before in the previous video and this one to some degree, I won't be competing again in 2017. I'm going to be taking the rest of this year off. There won't be no more shows of 2017. I will be back on stage in 2018. When and where, that's to be decided at a later date. But for you guys that are interested and, you know, wanting to know, I will be back on stage. I will be doing another prep series in 2018. So you won't actually have to wait too long until you see another prep series with me and me getting back on stage. And next year is going to be a big year. I will tell you that it isn't just going to be one show. There is going to be more than one show next year. So that's all I'm going to giving away to you guys. And that's pretty much it to answer all the questions for today. So like I said, if you did enjoy this video, you know, give this video a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below if you did enjoy it. And also, if I didn't answer your question, I do apologise. There's so many questions I got in, and I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who did send in their questions. And for those who didn't send in a question but sent in, you know, their comments of support, I want to say a massive thank you to you guys as well. I'm so humbled for, you know, all the support I've been getting from you guys, and it's just been amazing. If you guys want to see another Q&A video, if you guys want to ask more questions about my prep in general, nutrition, supplements, workouts, anything, any questions at all, even just general questions you want to ask me about my life and just things that are not just bodybuilding related, feel free to drop some comments down below, and if I get a good response again, I'll do another separate video. So overall guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up for me. If you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe. There's going to be some more content coming soon with some workouts, day in the life videos, and a few food challenge videos. So stick around, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and as always, stay safe and make it happen. Peace.
Keep chasing shadows, they're always haunting